Today on This Week in Iowa, Democrat Cindy Axne is headed to Congress. Then, what happened election night in the governor's race? Plus, Iowa State House remains red, but the House is getting more blue. And the exit polls, what they really show about what Iowans care about. Hi, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us here on This Week in Iowa. I'm Sabrina Ahmed. It was a big week, so we are starting off our show right here. Someone who had a very big night on Tuesday, Cindy Axne. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Always a pleasure.
As a Congresswoman-elect, I want to know what your reaction was when you found out on Tuesday night that you were flipping District 3. You were no longer, the state of Iowa is no longer sending David Young to D.C. and instead we're sending you.
Well, it was a great night. I, of course, couldn't be more humbled and honored to be able to represent Iowa's 3rd, but at the same time make history here in Iowa with both Abby Finkenauer and myself becoming the first 2 women to go to Congress to represent Iowans. So I'm so proud to be a part of that. Grateful as a product of our public school system and a 5th-generation Iowan. It's an incredible honor, and I was just obviously over the moon.
I would imagine you have to hit the ground running. What happened after Tuesday?
Yes, yeah. Well, and as a matter of fact, I got our doorbell rang at 6:45 this morning with another FedEx delivery from Washington.
Oh, goodness.
So there's a lot that needs to be done from a transition team to make sure that I'm up and running, not just in Washington, but our offices here in the state. Certainly to make sure that I hire a really good team to make sure that we move forward with the agenda facing Iowans. And of course, making sure that I continue to stay up to speed on the issues that we're facing and stay up with policy that's happening right now so that when I get there in January, I can hit the ground running.
So what does that look like? How do you form a team? Do you put Iowans on your team? Do you find people who have worked in other congressional offices?
It's a little bit of both,
okay.
Absolutely. We absolutely want Iowans on the team. I've said all along this race for me was always about making sure Iowans had a voice in Washington. So I definitely want Iowans here, and in particular in our offices. I think that's incredibly important. I'll be bringing some people from my own team that helped me with this win. I've become very attached to them after 18 months of hard work, and certainly they're great people that know what to do when we get out there. But there's a lot more for me to learn, and I'm just looking forward to that. And, I have a background in human resources and operations, so I can pick this up pretty easily, but it's a new one.
And logistics are not a problem for you. What do you believe is the #1 issue that Iowans had on their minds when they went to the polls on Tuesday?
Absolutely health care, and the issue, of course, of covering people with pre-existing conditions and not charging them more. So many people here in Iowa have been hurt as a result of the decisions being made in Washington when it comes to our health care. Of course, at a state level, we've privatized Medicaid as well. So it's the #1 issue on our families' minds, and we have to get out there and make sure that everyone has affordable quality care that covers pre-existing conditions, that we can afford our prescription drugs, that we're able to negotiate the cost of those, and that just overall, we lower the cost of health care and get better services for people.
Okay, so that's something that you've talked about on the campaign trail a lot. You spoke with many times about how Congressman Young wasn't doing those things. How specifically do you make that happen, especially when we have a Republican-controlled Senate?
Well, we absolutely have an opportunity to put provisions to cement the coverage for people with pre-existing conditions. Right now, we are seeing, a court case down in Texas where that's trying to be dismantled. And so we have the opportunity to put policy forward that will allow us to do that. I truly believe that across the board, people understand, Republicans and Democrats, that health care is the biggest issue we need to address. And I feel that we'll be able to find some solutions out there.
As a member of Congress, you will have the power to investigate the president and any agencies as well. What do you believe needs to be investigated? What do you see as most important in that regard?
Well, I think overall we need to ensure that our democracy is working for the people. And right now, we're unfortunately at a time where there's too much political partisanship. So decisions are being made that reflect that, and they're not in the best interest of the people in this district, this state, and in this country. So one of the things that we need to do is put that accountability back in government, put transparency back, and then certainly ensure that investigations that are underway, like the Mueller investigation, has the opportunity to see itself through. That's what we need to do. That's what is a bipartisan approach. We always should hold anybody accountable to obeying the law, and that's what I hope to get out there and do and make sure that we support that.
Now, of course, you're going with Iowans in mind to represent them, but you also represent the entire country. Do you believe that President Trump needs to be held more accountable? Do you believe he's committed any I hate to use this buzzword, but this is what they say, is that he needs to be impeached. Do you believe that?
Well, that's information that we still need to, to fine-tune. I certainly, as I mentioned before, believe that we need to support a bipartisan approach to the Mueller investigation and ensure that that isn't inhibited, that there isn't any plans to stop it, and make sure that all avenues that need to be looked at are addressed. We've got to move away from just protecting political partisanship and party leaders. This has to be about what's right for America.
Cindy Axne, we appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Good luck to you. We'll take a short break, everyone. Coming up next, what happened in Iowa's governor's race? Fred Hubbell lost and Governor Reynolds gets to keep her job. We're analyzing why Republicans prevailed.
Alexa, give me my Local 5 news headlines.
I'm Local 5's Sabrina Ahmed with today's top stories.
Set up your flash briefings by adding the We Are Iowa skills to your Alexa app.
You'll hear Local 5's top news stories updated 4 times a day.
And plan your day with We Are Iowa's most accurate weather team, as I tell you if you need this or these.
Go to weareiowa.com/Alexa for easy setup instructions.
Alexa, tell me We Are Iowa's most accurate forecast.
I'm Local 5 meteorologist Taylor Canuse.
I'm a writer. If I went down, I'd want the resources and experience of a powerful law firm on my side. Call Hupy and Abraham right now.
At Des Moines 1-800-GOT-JUNK, we can remove items from anywhere in your home or business.
Like attics
And basements.
or backyards.
Even crawl spaces. Don't lift a finger. Call us today. We'll be there today.
Des Moines 1-800-GOT-JUNK. We make junk disappear.
Like Local 5 on Facebook at We Are Iowa. Whether you bleed Cardinal or Black, Cyhawk Game Day is gold.
I'm John Schaefer.
And I'm Adam Rosso, your man covering Hawkeye headquarters.
And I've got the Cyclones, both teams fighting to have successful seasons.
And this is the best place to find the stories and the analysis from us.
Mike Gross, he's my key number 3. Let him go make plays.
And the pros.
It's called the two-gap technique. They get both their arms extended, keep offensive linemen at bay.
The only place that covers Iowa
and Iowa State like this.
You've got tailgate plans. Cyhawk Game Day, Saturday at 10:30 on Local 5.
Join us every Sunday at 10 on Local 5 for the Iowa Realty Sunday Home Show, featuring new construction neighborhoods around the metro by the best builders in the market. We chat with builders and Iowa Realty professionals about open house, trends in the industry, financing information, and existing inventory. And our special Great Iowa Home feature each week showcases a luxury home listed by Iowa Realty. Now in our 34th year at 10 a.m. Sunday on Local 5 or at iowarealty.com.
From the capital city, you're watching This Week in Iowa with Sabrina Ahmed, getting to the heart of what's happening in Iowa politics.
It was a night of wins and losses for both Republicans and Democrats in Iowa, and a historic night for women in our state, sending 2 women to Congress for the first time ever in Iowa. And now we have the first ever female elected governor. We've covered every angle, from the big races and what the results came out in real time, as well as all of the analysis. So today we are going to talk about the top headlines from election night in Iowa with our analysts who are here with us all night long. So joining me now are Craig Robinson with the Iowa Republican and Pete D'Alessandro, who is a Democratic strategist. Gentlemen, thank you for coming back with us. And
great to be here. No problem.
Giving us the boot. We appreciate it. So first, let's continue our discussion about the 2 congressional races that flipped, both District 1 and District 3. We will start talking about District 3 because we just heard from Cindy Axne. So that, of course, is central Iowa and the southern part of central Iowa. So it was Congressman David Young's seat. Let's take a listen to Young's concession speech that we heard on Tuesday.
Elections are a battle of ideas, right? And the great thing about this country is we give the people the power to set the direction and course to choose their leaders and who should represent them in government.
Gentlemen, react to this race. We watched the results come in together. What were you thinking as it became more and more apparent that Cindy Axne was going to win?
Well, I really thought that, you have this, all of these female candidates running across the state and across the country. And, it was, going into this election cycle, I think Republicans knew that it was going to be difficult with suburban women, especially, for them to overcome that kind of hurdle with everything that's going on in the country and with the president. And so I don't think it really surprised us what was impressive was the amount of margin that came out of Polk County in this race, where, you know, Cindy Axne represents, you know, I think 13 counties. She won one, but she won it by 30,000 votes. And at the end of the night, you know, she won this race by 5,000 votes. But, you know, what she was able to accomplish in Polk County and Dallas County really set her up nicely for a big win.
If you look at this district, I think what the results showed Tuesday statewide is we're closer to a purple state than many others. And this district is the example within the congressional districts of the purple district. So when you're looking at a purple district, what you're asking is, what's the issue that put it over the top? And I believe it was Cindy Axne having the strong stand on health care, and that we need to do better, and that we need to cover more people, and we need to protect people who have pre-existing conditions. I really think that was the issue that made the difference in a purple district, especially with this type of spread that it was.
You read my mind. Real quickly, gentlemen, just react. Do you think that Cindy Axne remains in this seat, or is it so purple that it'll flip red again in a couple years?
I think that you're asking the wrong question. I mean, I'm impressed by Cindy Axne and how she conducts herself. And, you know, there's going to be other big races that come up in Iowa. And so is she going to stay as a congresswoman, or is she going to look at something maybe a little bit bigger moving forward?
And the other thing you have to look at is, and we do it the right way here in Iowa, where we don't gerrymander.
Right.
And so really, she has one more, as do these other folks. They have one more re-election in these districts, and then they're all going to be facing different districts.
Yeah.
So that's really when that conversation really resonates.
Okay, another top Iowa congressional headline from Tuesday night was the flip of Republican Congressman Rod Blum's seat by Abby Finkenauer. Finkenauer is now one of the youngest members of Congress. Pete and Craig, were either of you surprised by this win?
No.
Right, no, I know that. I know the
Look,
answer to
this
that.
is, Rod Blum held this seat for 2 terms, and it was a seat that no one expected him to win the first time he won it. And then, you know, even with Trump on the ballot, you know, we thought we were heading into a disastrous 2016, and Trump somehow had a lot of legs in that district, and he won it big. And so now, you know, this was a midterm election with a good Democrat environment, and I think it allowed Finkenauer to win it.
And in a lot of ways, it really is our bluest district, and she's a perfect fit for it. So you have a blue district, you have someone who's a perfect fit for it. That's a tough person to beat, and that's what happened.
Probably the biggest headline for the evening was that Kim Reynolds is going to remain in control. She's going to remain the governor. She beat out Democrat Fred Hubbell, but according to election results, this was the closest Iowa governor race in 6 decades. Talk to us about this. The voter makeup, of course, Fred Hubbell was really winning, and then as you got more rural results in, Kim Reynolds etched away at his lead. And then
it's fascinating. Going into the night, I think if you would have told any Republican, look, you're going to lose 2 congressional seats, Steve King's only going to win by 10,000 votes, you just say it's over.
Sorry,
it is a wave election. But yet you see in the statewide results, and even, you know, what we noticed in a statewide election is the Democrat Party still is kind of confined to 10 to 12 counties in the state. And so Reynolds was able to kind of chip into that big margin throughout the night in the rural areas.
I think he's right about that in terms of the 10 or 12. What's important is it is 10 or 12 now. Where Fred Hubbell deserves a lot of credit is that's 10 times more counties than we won last time. He started bringing this thing back. They had a really good campaign. As all campaigns, there was some dysfunction with it. They had a lot of younger people that were department heads that really took over the departments and did a great job. And I think that's why it was such a viable campaign.
All right, you guys aren't going anywhere because we're going to talk about some of the state house races coming up right after this. So stay with us, everyone.
She keyed her boyfriend's car.
You think I care? I don't care anymore.
Got a restraining order.
Are you afraid of him?
Yes.
But she keeps coming back to him.
Your daughter and I had sex every day, like yesterday, like this morning, like all the time.
Oh my God.
You sexually assaulted her.
I did not sexually assault her.
You look my wife in the eyes and use your fingers to illustrate that you've had our daughter.
All new Dr. Phil.
Monday at 4 on Local 5.
An historic night of firsts broadcast on WeAreIowa.com with in-depth expert analysis.
If you're a Democrat, you want to come out of Polk County in this district with 55 to 58% of the vote.
Local 5 reporting from across the state.
They're calling it a blue wave.
Electing the first 2 women to represent Iowa in U.S. Congress.
We reject it. Fear and division.
I will support any bill that helps the people here in our state.
Electing the first woman as our state's governor. Local 5 News is your local election headquarters.
This station seeks groups that regularly send information about work opportunities to job applicants or that have applicants to refer. If your group would like to receive notification of job vacancies at our station, contact us by U.S. mail, email, or by calling 457-9645. Individuals interested in employment in the broadcast industry are encouraged to visit weareiowa.com for a list of current job openings. Nexstar Broadcasting Companies are an equal opportunity employer.
The skills you can develop in the Army National Guard can give you an edge in the high-tech job market of tomorrow. The Guard offers career training to take advantage of your interests in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Gain practical experience with emerging technology and equipment that you can transfer to an exciting new field. Get a head start on your career while serving part-time and earning money to pay for college. Visit NationalGuard.com to learn about all of the STEM career opportunities available to you in the Army National Guard.
You're watching This Week in Iowa, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Iowa.
Welcome back. Kevin Kester, Peter County, and Jake Highfill are all out of a job come January, at least their job as legislators. These 3 Republican state representatives lost their suburban seats election, and all 3 lost to women. We are back now with our analysts, Pete D'Alessandro and Craig Robinson, talking about House districts now and what else surprised them. So did these 3 flips, and there were many, there were some others throughout the state, but those were those Republican state House races in suburban Des Moines that we really wanted to talk about.
Right. Look, these were, you know, tough seats. You kind of got the sense. You knew that Peter County was going to be in trouble. He had a tough race 2 years ago, you know, and that knew the Democrats were going to be coming hard for that seat again. The Kevin Kester, Jake Highfill, probably a little bit more of a surprise, but still it kind of fit the dynamic of where you expected there to be problems. Even the other 2 seats that Democrats gained in the House, one's in Woodbury County in Sioux City, the other one was in Blackhawk County up in Cedar Falls. And so Democrats did well in these big suburban counties in Iowa, and Republicans did pretty well anytime we were out in rural.
Yeah, everywhere else.
Yeah.
If I had to use the word surprise, I was surprised at how big the victory was against County. I thought it would be a little closer, but having said that, you know, 3 progressive, really hard-working candidates, and sometimes we overlook that. It is about issues, but these were hard-working, really good candidates, and that had a lot to do with it too. So I wasn't necessarily surprised with the wins.
So Democrats thought they'd have a good chance at taking over the House, but as we were just talking about in the break, you know, there is a problem. There's a disconnect between Democrats and rural Iowa. So how do they fix that? Was this a Fred Hubbell problem? Was this a Democrats in general problem? I mean, what's the issue here?
I think it's a message issue where you really have, if you're a Democrat, I think you have to be concerned about running out of geography to run in. Where, you know, when you look at places like, you know, the most interesting race I thought on election night for the state Senate was in Rita Hart's Senate seat, where they lost that significantly by a couple thousand votes. And so, I mean, that's Clinton. Those are areas that you would expect Democrats to be strong. I think there's opportunity in the future for them to win back those seats, especially along the river. But I think it has to go to message where you have to appeal. Obviously, they have a message that appeals to suburban people in Polk County and Lynn County and Blackhawk County. But when you get to these more blue-collar river counties, what is your message to those people?
And I think that's the nuance from it necessarily being just a rural question, is we need to do better. And we had people that did better. Abby is an example. Some of these state reps out in Council Bluffs that did better. We have to do better in those working class areas along the river and along the border on the western side of the state also. That's where we get it back, and we can get it back.
Okay, so because these women won these congressional seats, and some women did flip some seats, I mean, was this a women wave more than a blue wave?
Well, there's Republican women that won.
Right, that's what
I mean. And I think it is, and I think that that's maybe where we look at the results, whether it's Reynolds, whether it's Cindy Axne and Abby Finkenauer, or Marionette Miller Meeks, and some of these other people that won Senate seats. You know, maybe the message that Iowans were sending is, hey, I don't like the noise out of our male president of the United States, and that they were more interested in voting for female candidates.
Gentlemen, I'm really sorry to cut you off, but that's all the time we have.
I got the last word.
All right,
I won.
Thank you so much. We appreciate both of you. We have another discussion coming up right after this short break with Matt Sinovic, so stick with us.
Alexa, give me my Local 5 news headlines.
I'm Local 5's Sabrina Ahmed with today's top stories.
Set up your flash briefings by adding the We Are Iowa skills to your Alexa app.
You'll hear Local 5's top news stories updated 4 times a day.
And plan your day with We Are Iowa's most accurate weather team, as I tell you if you need this or these.
Go to weareiowa.com/Alexa for easy setup instructions.
Alexa, tell me We Are Iowa's most accurate forecast.
I'm Local 5 meteorologist Taylor Canoes.
All of our veterans, we salute you.
In honor of Veterans Day,
stop and think of veteran when you see them. Ask them how they're doing.
You'll be inspired by one soldier's ironclad mission to keep moving forward.
Losing your legs, was it the greatest
It was a gift. And the biggest thing that I learned, your power is actually in getting back up again.
And
I thought something's not right.
Her husband paid the ultimate sacrifice. Now meet his living legacy.
It's almost like being with Chris again, like in a different way.
He's magnificent. Today at 9
on Local 5.
Congratulations to the Local 5 political team, awarded a regional Emmy for program Medicine in the Making. And congratulations to Local 5's Elias Johnson, awarded a regional Emmy for his work as a video journalist. To view these and other local stories you won't see anywhere else, go to weareiowa.com.
She keyed her boyfriend's car.
You think I care? I don't care anymore.
Got a restraining order.
Are you afraid of him?
Yes.
But she keeps coming back to him.
Your daughter and I had sex every day, like yesterday, like this morning, like all the time.
Oh my God.
You sexually assaulted her.
I did not sexually assault her.
You look my wife in the eyes and use your fingers to illustrate that you've had our daughter.
All new Dr. Phil.
Monday at 4 on Local 5.
You're watching This Week in Iowa, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Iowa.
Welcome back, everyone. We are finishing off our show with Matt Sinovic with Progress Iowa, and we're talking about a new public policy poll that was conducted as voters were leaving the polling booths. So in the poll, Iowans were asked if they approved or disapproved of the president. 48 said they disapproved, 49% said they approved. The most important issue to these voters was health care. 28% said they would like to see a minimum wage increase, and then there are some other key issues there on the screen. But let's talk Medicaid first.
Sure.
Matt, if a majority of those who answered the questionnaire said they wanted to see a state-run Medicaid, what does that mean for why they voted Kim Reynolds to remain in office?
Well, I think that's a really interesting question, and one that we didn't ask the why they voted the way they voted, but we did ask where they stand on all these policy issues. So the purpose or the goal of our survey was to provide this information so that hopefully elected officials could take a look at it and see that, well, maybe just because this one person won or lost, they really need to know what the voters thought about these policies, not necessarily just how they voted, because sometimes there is a disconnect.
So what's the percentage of people who are actually taking these polls, and do you ask them, who did you vote for president in 2016? Or are you asking how can you compare what's happening, and what was your takeaway, your biggest takeaway?
So I think the biggest takeaway is that people had a more progressive set of values than maybe you would have thought based on the election results, because whether it was Congress or the governor's race, these were very close races just across the board, but by wide margins people want state-run Medicaid. It's 82% that want to see the minimum wage increased, and it's almost 60% that would want to see it raised to $12 or more. So on just a whole host of policy issues, people lean a little bit more to the left than maybe we realized.
So this is them removing themselves from parties and just looking at issue by issue.
Exactly.
So what do you think that says for the way these parties are messaging to the constituents?
I think that everyone, whether you're Democrat or Republican, should look at this. I mean, there's a really good amount of information. It's all on our website where to kind of get a sense of what people were thinking, what the voters were thinking as they cast their ballot. And so I think either party, when they're crafting their message or making their policy, should be well informed about what their constituents think.
And because these Iowans are saying that they want all of these progressive things, but then the state remains in Republican control, which are more conservative ideologies, what do you say to voters?
Well, I think that you would say that they should speak out about what they believe in. I mean, if they want more, 57% I think wanted dramatically more money for public schools, and so they need to contact their legislator. They need to contact the governor and tell them that that's a value that they have, and they think that public education should be supported, and on down the line. They should just continue to stay, or they should stay engaged in their local government and try and see those values enacted.
I think sometimes people say, oh, well, it doesn't matter if I call because it won't do anything. Do you really believe it does?
It absolutely matters. I mean, if you look back to just last summer when the Congress was set to repeal the Affordable Care Act, and people spoke out all over the country.
In droves.
And in droves. And that worked. I mean, that bill was stopped. And so the Affordable Care Act exists today because so many people spoke out. That kind of thing, it doesn't always work, but it really can work even at a local level.
Matt Sinovic, very interesting. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Short break. We'll be right back.
An historic night of firsts broadcast on WeAreIowa.com with in-depth expert analysis.
If you're a Democrat, you want to come out of Polk County in this district with 55 to 58% of the vote.
Local 5 reporting from across the state.
They're calling it a blue wave.
Electing the first 2 women to represent Iowa in U.S. Congress.
We reject it. Fear and division.
I will support any bill that helps the people here in our state.
Electing the first woman as our state's governor.
What an honor!
Local 5 News is your local election headquarters.
This station strives to provide quality children's television programming and endeavors to meet the children's television requirements set by the FCC and the Children's Television Act of 1990. We prepare a quarterly children's television report describing each program we broadcast. We invite the public to read this report during regular business hours and comment on the educational and informational needs of children in our community. Thank you.
Join us every Sunday at 10 on Local 5 for the Iowa Realty Sunday Home Show, featuring new construction neighborhoods around the metro by the best builders in the market. We chat with builders and Iowa Realty professionals about open house, trends in the industry, financing information, and existing inventory. And our special Great Iowa Home feature each week showcases a luxury home listed by Iowa Realty. Now in our 34th year at 10 a.m. Sunday on Local 5 or at iowarealty.com.
The skills you develop as a soldier in the Army National Guard can give you a head start on your career. Gain practical experience with technology and equipment that will give you a leg up in the civilian world. Learn critical leadership skills and to be part of a team. Serve your community and your country part-time while earning money for an education. Visit NationalGuard.com to learn about the paid training and career opportunities available to you in the Army National Guard.
Thank you so much for joining us here on This Week in Iowa. We want to thank our analysts and our guests for joining us today, and congratulations to those who ran campaigns for the midterm. We'll see you again next Sunday.